one of the things that people don't understand about component relations often is what it is, what's involved with it. And so I was talking with Tanya earlier, and you were sharing a story with me about somebody that you met on a plane. Can you tell me a little bit about this person and what made this story, what made this situation stand out to you so much?
Oh, sure. So it was amazing. I was on a plane heading to a meeting for an organization I was working with, and sitting next to a gentleman, just kind of sharing pleasantries. Are you going for work or pleasure? Yada yada. And then we got to that part of every conversation on a plane. What is it that you do?
What
And
do
when
you do?
I asked him, what is it that you do? He introduced himself as a board member for a local ALS chapter. And it was amazing to me because for lots of reasons. One, I've never had someone lead with their volunteer role. It's just never happened. But it was also around the time of the Ice Bucket Challenge, and there was all sorts of other interesting things. So it sparked my curiosity to talk a lot about development and how the board was leading. But mostly, this guy, come to find out, was a pretty high-level executive at Northrop Grumman. And to lead, to be so inspired by your volunteer leadership, to really believe in the mission and the vision of an organization, to say to a stranger, what is it that you do to lead with that volunteer leader role, has kind of led the way that I've engaged with volunteer leaders ever since.
Yeah. So why do you think component relations is so important?
A lot of people call it, it's our boots on the ground for the national organization. They are folks in the field. I'm sitting in Washington, D.C. I can't ever know what's happening in Nebraska, truly, or Idaho or California. These are folks who have raised their hands and said, this mission, this vision of your organization is so important to me that I'm going to give up a little bit of my precious free time to devote it to you. And so as a chapter or a component relations professional, it's upon me to make good use of their time, make sure I'm feeding in a meaningful way, that I'm giving them the tools and the resources to really move the vision, move the mission of the organization. These guys are critical to a national organization. You cannot be insulated, either if you're in Chicago or wherever you happen to be, your brick and mortar is. Our chapters are critical to the success of advocacy, of networking, of awareness, of getting your message out there to, really the country.
So when you tell people that you do component relations, does anybody ever know what that is? Like, what?
They don't. They never know. And it's funny when you talk about that. I was talking to someone earlier today, and I always say, I used to joke before component exchange, really, when I would talk about what I did, I would say, what I do for an association is dragons live here. So when map makers used to make maps and they didn't know what was beyond this island, they would say dragons live here because they really were clueless and didn't know. And I feel like affiliates, chapters, components, and a lot of national organizations are dragons. Nobody really knows what to do with them. They're pesky. They're hard to communicate with. It's hard to collect dues. There's all these, misconceptions about chapters. And so I love being where dragons live because I love being that conduit between the national office and folks in the field, and really making sure that the national office is getting the message of what's happening in the field, that we're leveraging them in the correct way.
Yeah.
But no, I joke about the dragons live here, but it really is kind of what it tends to be. But a lot of people don't understand component relations at all.
I love that. I just got chills when you were talking about it because I'm like, I love to be where the dragons are. I love it.
I love it. And it is because it is uncharted to some extent. And until component exchange, until this gathering of these folks, component folks have never really had a place to be. We've been kind of lucky to have slices and slivers here and there at other association events, but we've never had a home. There's never been rooms filled with all people with chapter, component, affiliate in their title. And this gives us all confidence when we go back to work. It gives us strength, and it gives us a community. I mean, what we do is we build community, tiny little communities across the country,
Yes.
serving a mission and a vision. And now we finally have that. We're not alone. Maybe they're dragons, but we're not. We're not slaying them by ourselves. We have a community of.
No, you're hurting them.
Yes.
By the way, if you're going out to where the dragons are, that's where the best stories come
Oh,
from.
it's wonderful.
Right?
I wouldn't do it. I've done this over 15 years.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do anything different.
I love that.
These are my place. These are my people. And this is my tribe.